Hello everybody, welcome to this week's edition of Pigskin Preview. Danny Daniels along with David Johnson, and getting down to the part of the schedule where region games are really important, and we've got some to talk about this week. David, let's start with the one that you're going to see, Loganville and Heritage, and as we put in the newspaper this week, it's a playoff game.
Yeah, pretty much. It really comes down to this, and frankly, I'm a little surprised after Loganville got blown out by Flowery Branch. I really didn't expect them to be here. Not that they lost to Flowery Branch. That's not necessarily a surprise. It was the way they lost, and you just kind of really wondered if they would have anything left after that. But give Coach Godfrey credit. They've won 3 straight now. He's pulled his team together, kind of kept their spirits up, explained to them that, look, the schedule's going to even out here later on, and we're going to have a shot at this thing. And lo and behold, here we are going into this game. And they had to beat one of the top 4 contenders coming in. They lost to Clark and to Flowery Branch. I wouldn't bet on beating Gainesville next week. I wouldn't count on that 2 years in a row. So here's Heritage. They really need this one, and both of these teams are on the bubble, and so whoever loses this game is clearly out of the playoff picture. Loganville wins it, of course. They'll say they lose to Gainesville next week, they're okay. Then they'd have to beat Salem at the end of the season, but Salem's not very good. Hopefully they can take care of that and get the playoffs for the first time in 2 years.
I saw Loganville wind the barrel last week, and Loganville offense really struggled without the starting quarterback, Josh Laughlin, and Ryan English really impressed me, a sophomore who came in that ball game and looked good running the ball and throwing the ball. So they're deep at quarterback, but when you don't have your starter, you're going to suffer.
Yeah, and we don't know if Royce is going to be back yet. He suffered a concussion in that Appalachia game, so it's kind of up in the air. He's just kind of questionable going into this one. But both of these teams, this could be one of those 3-0 games, and it comes down to the field goal kicker, which of course Heritage has always had a legacy of having some great kickers come out of there. Loganville's pretty well set. Both of these offenses have kind of struggled. Heritage is actually scoring 11 points a game, and in region play, Loganville's scoring 21. So this could really be a defensive battle. It's going to be interesting to watch, see what happens.
Blake Salter had a big ball game. Speaking of field goals, he was 3 for 3. Loganville, it was 18-0. They had a touchdown, 3 field goals, and a safety. So they scored in every way you can, and they're going to need to put, a couple touchdowns, may win it this week.
I don't think it's going to take much more than that, frankly. With Loganville's pretty solid on defense. They can play some defense this year, and again, Heritage is. They're pretty weak offensively, and so I expect this to be a low-scoring deal.
All right, Monroe area is going to be down in Madison County and Danielsville, take on the Red Raiders, and should be just another tune-up game for Monroe area. I want to get your thoughts on the big controversy from last week about leaving those kids in after halftime with a big lead.
Well, it looked bad. Especially being a cross-county team, on paper it looked really bad. I was shocked when I came in and heard the score 75-0. But again, we've talked about this all week. Is every week Monroe area just hasn't been tested, and they just have nobody to test them, frankly, till you get to the playoffs. And at some point, you've got to get your team ready. Coach Flegg has been pulling out his starters at halftime and throwing in the other guys and at some point, you've got to get kids ready to play a whole game. And he just decided this was the time. And still, he didn't play them the whole game. They just stayed in, I think, through the third quarter. But when they're in there, Monroe can score on any play, and they usually do. I bet if you went back through the season and averaged out their drives, it would probably come out to about a 3 or 4 play average. So they're just unstoppable. It looked bad, but I can't blame Coach Flegg. At some point, he's got to throw all that aside and get his team ready and look out for number 1. And I think that's probably what happened there.
And you can't blame the Walnut Grove fans for being upset, because it looks like you're trying to run up the score. But as you put in your column this week, it's time for Monroe to look out for Monroe right now. They're thinking about a state championship.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, it was bad no matter who they're playing. It's particularly tough when it's somebody right down the street from you. It's inside the county, and I understand people being upset. I know when you play GFL and the rec leagues, they have a rule that you're not allowed to win by so many points. And I know back when my son was in that league and we were coaching, there were some times that we'd get ahead of a team by X amount of points, and the play call would be snap it to the quarterback, turn sideways, and run out of bounds 3 plays. And it kind of ruins the game, but that's the way that was. So, yeah, no win situation here for Monroe, but again, they just got to get ready for the playoffs.
All right, Social Circle at Jefferson, and Racing's going to have their hands full again this week. Jefferson, defending state champions, they're still ranked in the top 10, and it's really going to be rough for Social Circle to go down there and be competitive.
Yeah, it's this could be 75-0 if Jefferson wanted it to be there. Like I said, they're defending state champs. They're of course without their legendary coach T. McFerrin, but they've got a new guy that's coming in there, and that's just a real established program. They're a perennial state power every year. They're good again this year, not as strong as they were last year, but ranked number 9 in the state, and this could get ugly if Jefferson wanted it to be.
All right, Walnut Grove's going to be at home against Eastside. It'll be interesting to see how Coach Ben Reeves' team bounces back after that Monroe deal last week.
Yeah, this is going to show a lot of character here and show just what they're made of and what Coach Reeves can do with this team. Because who knows how a team's going? Are they going to be totally demoralized and just their season's gone now? Or are they just going to bounce back and want to show that they're better than that? And this will be a good test right here. I mean, it's a team I think they can be competitive with. Unfortunately, Eastside comes in with playoff hopes, so they're going to be very motivated to stay in the playoff chase. So it'll be a tough game for them. I'm hoping Walnut Grove will come out and at a minimum they'll be competitive and really give Eastside a good run for it, and maybe even pull off an upset. That'd be nice.
All right, George Walton Academy is at home against Athens Academy, and a lot of times this is for a region championship. May not be this time. It's still 2 pretty good football teams.
Yeah, and Athens is down this year. They had lost a boatload of seniors from last year's team that was really strong, and so they're kind of down this year. They're not in the running for a region championship. GWA still is. It's a long shot at this point. They've got to have Commerce lose at least one more, and then they've got to beat Prince Avenue, another top 10 team at the end of the year, the last game. So it's a long shot. It's still out there for them. The main thing they need, George Walton, again in Class A, winning a region and finishing in the top 4 is not how you get in the playoffs anymore. They just need to keep winning to bump up their power rankings. I know last week they were number 12 coming in. They just need to stay in that top 16. So winning these next few games is really key for them to stay in the playoffs and then try to bump up their seeding.
All right, that game's going to be on radio. It'll be on 92.3 FM, and the Loganville game is going to be on WKUN AM 1490 if you want to tune in for that. Loganville Christian Academy and Covenant hook up this week. That's always a big county, well, not a county rivalry because Covenant's in Gwinnett County, but it's still a rivalry. Starts at 7 o'clock over at LCA, and there'll be a big crowd over there. And hopefully you'll be a part of that game or one in the county. We'll see you next week.